So it's time for a job fair or an interview and you have to tie a tie and you've never tied a tie before. So let me give you a couple of tips on how to do that. First of all, you need a tie. This will do. Second of all, you put it around your neck. Make sure if there's buttons here, you button them. If not, that's fine. And then you take the side that's going to be showing and you put it over the side that's not going to be showing. And remember this, always remember this, end with around, up, and through. So what I just did is I tied a very informal knot. All I did was around, up, and through. Okay, now that's not the only way to tie a tie. Here's a second way. Let's say you're going to a slightly more formal gathering, like a job fair or an interview, and you don't want the very informal knot, you want the slightly more formal knot. Well, again, you start out the same way. You got this part, which is more important, and you got this part. You cross it over. Now, what you would do first is come through it once. And then, remember how we end? Around, up, and through. And now you have, if I can get it through here, the second way, which is slightly more formal. It's called a half knot because it is not really a full knot, which I'm going to show you next. Okay, so you just learned the first two ways to tie a knot. Now here's the third way, especially helpful if you're going to a job fair or an interview, and maybe you want to be even more formal and you're wearing a jacket, perhaps a suit. So we start off the same way. You get a tie, you got the important part, the less important part right. You go over with the most important part over the less important part. Now, what you do is you go up and through, and then you come back and you do it a second time, because this is going to be a full knot. Now, remember how we end it? Around and through. And we have, after you kind of fix it with your fingers, a full knot. You see how this is a little bit more formal? Now, two other tips. One is you want to make sure the length of the important part is longer than the length of the non-important part. And the important part goes all the way down to your belt. Well, you can see I didn't do that very well. So we're going to show you in the next video how to do that even better. Hi, welcome to Tips on Tying a Tie. If you're going to a job fair or an interview, you might want to pay attention to just two more little tips about tying a tie. So, first of all, you got to have a tie, right? And then you have the most important part and the least important part. Now, I want to show you folks something. You notice almost all ties at this point of the non-important part, there's a seam where the material meets itself. And so that's usually a good place to cross over and start your tie tying. Now, we're going to go for a formal knot, which is the third knot. You go under, and now we got to go through a second time. And you notice I'm putting my finger here to sort of hold that piece. We wrap the important part through really tight, and then we come through and pull it through, pull tightly, and go up. And you want to make sure that the important part goes to your belt buckle right there. All right, one last thing. If you're wearing a vest, you want the tie to go underneath the vest. There's nobody who could rock that other look. Good luck.